If you loved Once Upon a Time, directed by Quentin Tarantino, then you are in luck, as David Fincher is currently directing the sequel to the film penned by Quentin Tarantino himself and starring Brad Pitt as the character of Cliff Booth, who played opposite Leonardo DiCaprio. We'll be looking at what the story is all about and more details as found in the Variety article. And moving on from Hollywood to Germany, Germany's Red Eye Movies has launched a distribution arm to continue the distribution of films that otherwise wouldn't be picked up by other distribution arms or networks. And last but not the least, Jim Iyke, Nigeria's own and Africa's superstar movie director, actor, and producer, was in Ghana to promote his latest film called Sin, an Amazon original. So we're delving into all these stories and more right here on the Film Mandate. My name is Papa Otu. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Film Mandate, where I bring to you movie news, reviews, and reactions, both from the African front and the international scene. And thank you for joining me for this episode. So, in our very first story, for those who have watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I'm sure you were thrilled by the performances of Leonardo DiCaprio, and also you had Brad Pitt supporting him as a stunt double to, step in roles that otherwise the superstar character of Leonardo was not supposed to perform, and it will be taken over by Brad Pitt. Well, there is an exciting development that I must admit I didn't even know till the time I found out whilst doing a research on what stories I want to bring throughout this week. And I chanced upon this article published in the Variety magazine that I thought is worth sharing. So let me just quickly bring it up. Unfortunately, my OBS is acting up again. I don't know what's with it. But let's still go ahead. We'll not let anything stop us from covering this story. It's really an exciting story. And so everything we know about David Fincher's The Adventures of Cliff Booth, and that is written by Andrew McGowan. So that is a screenshot or a shot of Brad Pitt and the Cliff, I mean, as Cliff Booth in the film directed by Quentin Tarantino. And for those who know, I mean, definitely in 2020, or was it 2019, 2020, he won an award for as the best supporting actor in that film. So let's take a read at the article and see what they have for us. So, with production starting on Netflix's The Adventures of Cliff Booth, fans are eagerly speculating at what to expect from the David Fincher directed sequel to Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Tarantino introduced audiences to Cliff Booth in 2019's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where Brad Pitt turned in an Oscar winning performance for his portrayal of the cool, collected, and devilishly charming 1960s Hollywood stunt double. Tarantino later expanded upon the character in his 2021 novelization of the film. Though it is public knowledge that Tarantino penned the screenplay for the sequel and that Fincher is taking up the directorial reins, details concerning the storyline are still under wraps. Nevertheless, news regarding the film's cast, crew, development, and production offer reason for excitement. Here's what we know about the adventures of Cliff Booth so far. Who's in the movie? It was confirmed early on that Brad Pitt would reprise his title role in the adventures of Cliff Booth. Pitt has previously collaborated with Fincher to creatively fruitful ends in Fight Club and Seven, so the adventures of Cliff Booth will mark a reunion for these two talents. Outside the titular role, the film's cast includes Scott Caan, Elizabeth Debicki, uh, Yahya Abdul Mateen II, Carla Gugino, Holt McCallany, J.B. Tadena, and Corey Fogelmanis. I hope I got it right. Conspicuously, none of these actors appeared in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and details regarding their characters remain secretive. Where is the movie shooting? Naturally, the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sequel is filming in Los Angeles. Specifically, the production has taken over a block in the city's Highland Park neighborhood, centered around the historic Highland Theater. As seen, oh, sorry, So, as seen in on location Instagram post, production has transformed storefronts surrounding the theater to fit the film's 1970s setting, equipped with dated electronic stores, boutiques, and hair salons. The full production is expected to take place in California, taking advantage of the state's recently increased tax incentives while remaining true to the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood universe. What would the movie look like? So, first images of Brad Pitt on the set of The Adventures of Cliff Booth show him donning the character's signature blue jeans and short sleeve yellow bottom up over a Snake River Canyon t shirt. He still sports a flowing mop of blonde hair, but also sports a mustache, adding to the sequel's 1970s feel. Perhaps the best indicator of what the Adventures of Cliff Booth will look like comes from the announcement that Erik Messerschmidt, I hope I got the name right, will serve as the film's director of photography. Let me just use the first name. Eric is a frequent collaborator with Fincher, having lensed The Killer and Monk, and winning an Academy Award for the latter. He also served as gaffer on Fincher's Gone Girl and short episodes of Netflix's Mindhunter. Yeah, so Eric Eric's Eye will offer a change from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which was shot by Robert Richardson and nominated for Best Cinematography at the 92nd Academy Awards. Richardson brought the period piece to life with grandiosity yet a fitting levity. Eric's collaborations with Fincher lean more into an austere aesthetic, so the world of the Adventures of Cliff Booth might look a bit different. And then let's say, where will I be able to watch the movie? Being a Netflix original film, The Adventures of Cliff Booth is likely to release directly on the streamer. It may play at some festivals or specialty screenings ahead of time. But given Netflix's hesitancy to give its films wide theatrical releases, with the distinct exception of Greta Gerwig's upcoming The Chronicles of Narnia, the Adventures of Cliff Booth might not get much time on the big screen. So, The Adventures of Cliff Booth will be Fincher's third film for Netflix. Monk debuted on the platform in 2020, and The Killer premiered in 2023. Fincher also served as executive producer, showrunner, director on the Netflix series Mindhunter in 2017 and 2019. By contrast, Sony released Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in theaters worldwide in 2019, grossing 377 $426,903 at the global box office. So, who else is involved creatively? In addition, as serving as writer and star, respectively, Tarantino and Pitt also are producers on The Adventures of Cliff Booth. Joining them are Once Upon a Time in Hollywood producer David Heyman, as well as Cian Chaffin and Stacey Sher. The film was developed at Brad Pitt's Plan B Entertainment and Panic Pictures. When will the movie come out? Given that production just started, The Adventures of Cliff Booth likely won't wrap until sometime towards the end of the year. After that, it will enter post production and likely find a place in Netflix's 2026 release schedule. However, no official release date has been announced. So yeah, I don't know whether you saw the text clearly, but pardon me. I'm just having some issues with my I don't know for yeah for my for the web, which I would have to fix. So pardon me for that. But this is exciting, I must say, because for those who watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you could attest to the fact that it had all the perks of a good movie in it. And definitely, if Quentin Tarantino is directing a movie, it is actually a masterclass for film directors, for actors, and just for film enthusiasts alike. So I watched the film and I loved every moment of it. From Leonardo DiCaprio, which you can't ever go wrong with him because he brings his A game to every film he does, to the stellar performance of Brad Pitt. It was so exceptional, laid back, but he is a man of action and it's so fantastic. And, you know, with Quentin Tarantino writing this piece for David Fincher to act, that's a powerful, potent mix. Seeing what David Fincher has done in the past with Brad Pitt himself, from Seven to Fight Club, where he starred opposite for Seven, he starred opposite Morgan Freeman, and for Fight Club, is it Fight Club? Yeah, Fight Club. He starred opposite Ed Norton, and the visuals and the action, the pacing was so potent compared with Tarantino's skillful, adept, at writing script and the dialogue. You always know he's on point. So for these two to collaborate and bring this character back on the silver screen, and albeit largely on the Netflix platform, is a win already. And I know Brad Pitt as a character or as an actor in this particular production, and also a producer. It I don't know, all the things are in place to make sure that this is an award-winning movie, because you know David Fincher always create something that is Oscar worthy. From Mank, which starred Gary Oldman. He always brings something very unique to this game. So I'm sure perhaps this film arguably is one of the most anticipated film, depending on the release date that will be given, but it's one of the most anticipated films with regards to an Oscar winning worthy film, because all it's written all over it. And for those who watched the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you could attest that the film had all the sparks of an Oscar worthy film, from Margot Robbie to Leonardo DiCaprio to Al Pacino to Brad Pitt himself, and the fact that he set the whole thing inside Hollywood itself, bringing to board fictional characters to in the world of real life characters that happen in the golden age of Hollywood, or the classic era of Hollywood. You could tell that that movie was something powerful, and it's still continuing the same vein, making sure that it is shot in Los Angeles itself. So it is exciting. I don't know about you, but for me, I think um, in as much as Quentin Tarantino has said that he's just left one more film to do. But the fact that he's still writing a script for us to see, not his film necessarily, but yes, a script that he's developed for another a director to helm, it's exciting for me. Meaning that we sort of, in a way, have a zero point 0.5 film from him, even though that is not his directing. So it is exciting to see some work still coming from Quentin Tarantino, which is not going to be his last, and that is what excites me. I don't know about you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about this particular film? There's no release date yet, and we've not seen much apart from the sets. If you check the Instagram pages, apart from the sets that have been built in um, Los Angeles to sort of replicate what was done once upon a time in Hollywood and depict the era that this particular film was set in. Let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think it's a winning combination having David Fincher and Quentin Tarantino and Also Brad Pitt reprising his role. Whatever you think about this production, kindly leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and it will be much appreciated. So yeah, that is really a powerful first story that I'm so excited about. So moving on from Hollywood to Germany, I'm excited to always bring these stories because at least we get to see what is happening from all over the world. And that is one thing that I get excited about, to learn something new from different film industries from all over the world. And in that vein, I chanced upon an article written in the Screen Daily that spoke about Germany's Rapid Eye Movies, who has launched, this company has launched its world sales division, and they are bringing different variety of films to Europe aside Germany itself. And I think it is quite interesting. So this is written by Martin Blaney, and it says that Cologne-based distributor producer um, expands operations with new sales arm. Oh, I just been signed out. Okay, regardless, so I read the article in full, and it did bring up some interesting factors that I think is worth sharing. Let me see if I can, yeah, which I think is worth sharing. So just give me a minute. Let me bring up the article. Yeah, so let me read the article to you from the web browser, and it says that the initial lineup includes the Maverick Filipino. Yeah, so the initial lineup includes the Maverick Filipino filmmaker Khavn, uh, latest project, Rizal's Makamisa, as Phantasm of Revenge, a hand-colored 35 millimeter silent film about his country's fragmented colonial history at the turn of the 20th century. A 93-year-old German director, Alexander Kluges, I hope I'm getting the name right. Pardon me if I'm not. Latest two films made entirely using AI. So there is a 93-year-old capitalizing on the new technology to make films. So, and the films are Cosmic Miniatures and Primitive Diversity, which premiered in Rotterdam in 2024 and 2025, respectively. In addition, the new venture will be handling a number of the Japanese so-called pink films, such as Masayuki So's debut, Abnormal Family, and Atsushi Yamatoya's inflatable sex dolls of the wasteland, as well as in-house restorations by REM's own digitization lab. The latter include German cult titles such as Gabor Altoje's sci-fi dramedy, and Panko 95, that is the film's title, and also Christopher Roth's Bada, and Nicholas Humbert and Werner Penzel's documentary Step Across the Border. So management of the sales arm will be handled from Berlin by Nuno Pimentel. I hope I got the name right. So Pimentel has been responsible for the marketing of REM's theatrical distribution lineup since joining the company in spring 2022, and had previously participated in a Next Wave training program run by Berlin's German Film and Television Academy for film professionals on marketing, audience engagement, sales, distribution, and exhibition. REM founder Stefan Hall said the company hopes to create a space and offer a voice for films that are hard to describe in words, difficult to classify, and hard to market, but represent very original and artistic filmmakers. We believe that the biggest surprises artistically as well as sometimes commercially happen on the fringes. So it also goes on to say is that noting Rem's experience of almost 30 years in the business of releasing films, he said, we understand the distribution of challenging films and know that it's possible to create a certain success when passion for films multiplies within a network of passionate people and distributors. Launched in 1996 with Mamoru Mamoru Oshii's Ghost in the Shell as its first release. REM has played a key role as a distributor in the breakthrough of Asian directors such as Takeshi Kitano, Park Chan-wook, and Kim Ki-duk in Germany, as well bringing popular Indian cinema to Europe. In recent times, its recent releases in Germany and German cinemas have included Chinese director Jia Zhang's Caught by the Tides and Indian filmmaker Payal Kapadia's drama All We Imagine as Light. All pointed out that the sales arm will also benefit from the relationships REM has built up over the years with like-minded international distributors and film festivals through an alliance of taste with people who recognize and appreciated our taste in films. Some of the titles in the current sales lineup, such as Khavn's Alipato, were produced or co-produced by REM, but not Hall. But Hall will now also be open to picking up new third-party productions to supplement the sales catalog. A start to this new strategy could now be made next week when Hal travels to Switzerland for the Locarno Film Festival, where in the past he has picked up titles such as Sean Baker's Starlet and Athena Rachel Sangari's Chevalier for his theatrical distribution arm. So yeah, there we have this from Germany, also bringing to bear some collection of films that he has picked up, and I get excited about films from different quarters because then it gives us the opportunity to see, what the culture behind the film is about, and it serves as a main cultural export for people who might not have or may not get opportunity to travel into other countries to witness what they have to offer. So I'm excited that he's bringing to bear films that ordinarily would not be picked by any studio, perhaps even in Hollywood. And to have a 93-year-old make films with AI and release it in consecutive years, 2024 and 2025, is amazing. And another film that is painted, you know, hand painted, on the film itself is it's amazing. It feels like something from the classical eras when film began, and it's something that I'm sure in this digitized world that we find ourselves in and AI, a lot of film distribution companies may just shun these productions thinking that why would you want to hand digitally paint, or hand paint as film stock itself. So it's amazing that we are having these kinds of exposure of auteur-driven films being picked up by REM from Germany to bring to Europe. Hopefully, it will travel all across the world so that even those in Africa and other places will get an opportunity to see this film being done. So I'm excited because I'm also excited on the fact that most often we find major film studios in Hollywood or from Europe distributing films that suit their taste. But even with them, over time, they've come to realize that there are films that are like the outliers that break the mold that they are so used to. You have films like Parasite, which otherwise would not have been picked up if you're looking at the main vein which a lot of Hollywood cinema distribution arms would want to pick movies from. So these films that are being picked up once in a while help give a different taste and to cinema goers that may not be used to what the outside world beyond their own bubble offers. And I'm excited that you have a company like Rapid Eye Movies deciding to launch a world sales division to be able to bring films that ordinarily will not see the light of day in terms of the global limelight. So I'm excited about what they are offering now, and I want to see what they will be doing over the years, the kind of titles that they'll be picking up over the years, and which platforms that they'll be serving it to. So, I mean, good for them. Rapid Eye Movies launching World Sales Division is really something that is most welcoming. We need to see more of these distribution arms happening so that we can see different films from different quarters of the world that ordinarily would not have the opportunity to receive that attention. So I'm excited about this. I don't know about you. I know this really out of what I've been bringing up, but the idea of this platform is to be able to bring exposure to news from any part of the world and also from Africa. So yeah, I'm excited about this story. I don't know about you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, and it would be very much appreciated. So, moving on from Germany and now to the motherland of Africa. So, I was searching and I saw an article online which led me to an excerpt of an interview that showed the one of Africa's talented actor who is also a director and also not just a director, but he's a director, actor, producer, even writes as well. And they happen to be on a show where that had one talented musician who is also a radio host on the 3FM station in Ghana, interview him about a whole host of other things because he was there. Jim Iyke was there to promote his film called Sin, which is an Amazon original. And honestly, I would advise everyone to go and watch it. I watched the trailer and I was blown. And at the right time, I think sooner than later, I'll do a trailer reaction and share it online. But then I'd like us to take a look briefly at this interview, and afterwards, I'll share my thoughts on it. And I mean, Jim Iyke is so insightful, and he has this depth of knowledge, having been in the industry for over 2 decades. No wonder he has this deep insight as to the industry and all. So I think it is right that we take a listen to it rather than me telling you, and then I can share my thoughts on it. So let's go.
How much it cost you?
I signed an NDA,
Okay.
but I'll tell you, nobody has signed my budget yet.
Wow.
Defined. Nobody. As I sat across those sea of white faces and I was signing, they told me, something extraordinary is about to happen. And we know that you can do this because we've not taken this risk yet with anybody.
Yeah.
And don't forget, I didn't sign one, I signed a trilogy.
Yes.
Wow.
So it's part 1 and 2. We're drained, we're exhausted. Part 3, early next year, we'll start. And I'm making a promise to this land. My part 1 and 2 didn't have them for one chief reason. So they have a list.
Okay.
On that list are certain names you can only work with. I couldn't circumvent it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, please don't take this badly. I never apologize, but I think this time I'm going to weigh my words carefully and tailor my words.
Okay, so just a little background to what just talking about the trilogy. So the Sin film that he was in Ghana to promote is actually going to be released on Amazon, but he came to Ghana to do more like a sneak peek. So this interview was granted on the 24th of July, as you can see, almost a little over a week ago. And he came to Ghana to do a promotion of the first 2 in the installments of the trilogy. So what he's talking about is in reference to him signing a contract in that is a 3-part movie to produce, of which he's done 2. So the first one is Sin. So he was in Ghana to just give a sneak peek, 30-minute sneak peek of the film to promote in Ghana to encourage people to watch it, and that was what he was saying. And then it led to this very topic that I wanted to talk about. But he spoke a lot about he spoke about a lot of things that it's so insightful. And with all honesty, I would still advise. I will leave the link to this interview in the comment in the description section below, so that you can go and watch it and take a look at. But he shared a very interesting aspect of how our industry is being affected by some decisions we took in the past that has had negative ripple effects on our industry in Ghana in particular. And I thought it was important sharing this interview and talking about it. So let me just play the rest and we'll delve into it.
There's no Ghanaian actor on that list.
Why?
This is the question that's for you guys to answer. Because I can sit here and tell you over 10 names that are deserving to be on that list.
True.
But I think they've allowed politics supersede the real gift or the real reason why that space was gifted to them, because it's a gift very freely.
Can you explain further?
From first class information that's come to us, there was a certain time where there was a collaboration between Nigerians and Ghanaians that was heading for better waters. And we all invested our emotions and our economy in that collaboration. And we didn't need anybody with ulterior motives or the politics or the naysayers to come between us, because it was thriving and working organically.
Yes.
And it was going for higher ground.
Yes.
People, some of your biggest talent came from that collaboration.
Very true.
True. Some of them, they were in obscurity till that collaboration.
True.
Why end it?
Yeah.
Because somebody spoke the wrong word and somebody got emotional. Now, this is the difference between us and you. We don't get emotional about money. I can sit here and do business with my worst enemy and still not be in his social circle. But everybody wants to be involved with everybody's insecurities. Can we have a common ground where we say, F our personal life, let's focus on the ball?
Yeah.
As a collective, we'll move. As a collective, we can force any leadership to sit down. We force leadership to sit down on our place. We force superstructures to sit down in our place. We force narratives across Africa to sit down on our place, because we went as a consensus.
Oh, yeah.
If they learned the principle and power behind the consensus, they would not have messed up that collaboration.
Wow.
And then since that time, it's been downhill.
It has.
Am I wrong or
Okay, so yeah, I wish I can play all, but there's a lot he shared in there. So I just want to touch on this subject matter. There was a time when collaboration between Ghana film producers or actors and that of Nigerian film actors and producers was really thriving. There was no single week that you don't see, or a single month that you don't see a movie that had this collaboration being shown in our cinemas or on the TV screens, and it was really booming. And for some reason, I'm sure he didn't even want to divulge the details, apart from the fact that politics and personal sentiments got involved. It sort of fizzled out. I mean, in recent times, you see a number of just sparingly, a number of a few people are still engaged in that effort. You have Lil Wayne bringing in a number of Nigerian actors to star in his film called A Country Called Ghana. And I'm sure a number of also Ghanaian actors have also migrated. They're also doing films there. But the whole point was that, yes, in that era, a lot of actors, I'm sure on both sides, but perhaps even more for the Ghanaian actors, had a lot of exposure in the Nigerian market, just as the Nigerian actors also had some exposure in our market. So it was more or less like a mutual benefit to both countries. But since it stopped, it one way or the other has affected, I'm sure, more the Ghanaian industry perhaps than even the Nigerian industry, because if you look at the Nigerian industry, they have a larger market, and not just the larger market, but one thing about Nigerians is that they support their own massively. I'm talking about they would support their own massively. We do same here, but for some reason or the other, it's not as thriving as we would have hoped for, comparing it, if you had to compare ourselves with the Nigerian market. And I've always said on this platform that the only way we can survive or ensure that our industries are thriving and formidable, it has to do with collaborations or networking. I always claim that the only way we can do or make it big in Africa is when we have a unified market, a unified film market. Because without that, we can't sell enough to be able to leverage it to deal with um, certain, media giants or if I'm to say streaming giants who would want to negotiate with us. And just as he said, consensus actually does work. If the people coming on board, any agreement or discussion are that united, we can have the leverage to demand perhaps what is right to help build a very profitable and formidable film industry. And just as he said, we lost that. I'm not so privy to what might have caused it to happen, but I like what he said. Business is business, it shouldn't be personal. And for some reasons, that being a Ghanaian, I know certain parts of it. Politics can get involved in anything. Everything becomes political at some point in time. And yes, sentiments can rise high and ruin what could have been something very wonderful and beautiful. And so I do agree to an extent as to what might have caused what we are currently facing now, where the biggest, the biggest part of both industries previously, even though they were cooperating, are not doing so anymore. And Nigeria at this point in time um, are doing well with their industry because their numbers are helping them. But I like the fact that despite everything, he has come back in Ghana knowing that Ghana is also key to his success, just as Nigeria's is also a key to our success. So I think even by him being in the country to promote his film, of which in the interview he said, in I think one of the interview he did, he said Ghana is his third home. As a matter of fact, a lot of Nigerians actually have homes here. They have places here and they live here. There, there is this there is this relation between us that is so inseparable. It's like we are siblings. And so, in everything that we do, there is the need for collaboration, particularly in the film industry. Particularly in the film industry, we need to learn to collaborate on all fronts. I mean, definitely we must negotiate well so that it doesn't look like one film industry is dominating the other. No, it doesn't have to be so. We all have to have equal share in each other's markets if we really want to thrive. And maybe more so, everybody's country, every film industry in their own country should have a little edge over the other. But regardless, we should make sure that the negotiation is fair in the sense that no film industry should dominate the other. And I think that is what we need in Africa. What he's doing is good, but I think it should even go beyond just collaboration among Ghanaians and Nigerians. It should be collaborations among all nations. All nations, we need it so much. We should be able to collaborate with South Africans, Egyptians, Algerians, Togolese. It should be across board because we need each other. We are the second most populous continent in the world behind Asia. And yet, we still do not have that economic muscle with regards to our industry. Nigeria produces a lot of films in a year, I think over 2,700 films a year. But does it necessarily translate into economic wealth? Yes, maybe to an extent it does, but it could have found more success if we are all united together. And same would have gone a long way to help our industry. There's a saying that 1% of something is better than 0% of everything. So we need to look at reforging these relationships back, maybe define the terms properly, understand the terms and conditions we are going into so that we leave out sentiments and politics. Because at the end of the day, whether politics as in the main politics from the nation as we have politicians invading in it or our own politics, the film industries worldwide, a lot of film industries were built by private people. So yes, we need policies to be put in place by government, but beyond that, the issue of politics invading into entertainment should be stopped. And even our own internal politics ought to be put aside for us to have make sure that we can build a very formidable industry. And I do agree with him. He goes on to say something about economics, about numbers, about making sure that we push the algorithm to a point where it benefits us. How many of us are willing to go onto such platforms like Amazon Prime and contribute to the success of uh, the film that he has done? And I am not being delusional, not considering the fact that yes, economically it is quite tough, but if we can afford to help each other, we need to help it because we need to build a very formidable industry to have the world pay attention to what we have. But first and foremost, I believe that three structures or three factors we need to put in place ought to be taken seriously: data, infrastructure, and policy. All these things ought to be put in place across board, across all nations in Africa. And by so doing, we can help build a very formidable industry that all of us will be proud of. That we can be in Ghana and watch films from Jim Iyke in Nigeria and watch film, and they can do same of us. And someone from the north, from the south, from the mid, from the east and west. We need to help now build a very formidable industry. A lot of things are happening in Africa, and I'm excited about it. But it still needs more. More needs to be done. Not just in collaboration among production houses, but we need to open our markets to ensure that we can build the film industries all across board. The challenge with our the film business is that it is capital intensive. It is still possible for us to build it with the widow's might we have in Africa, wherever we find ourselves in. So I don't know. I'm passionate about this thing, and I'm glad he brought these things up. I'm not privy to the entire situation that happened. Neither am I laying blame on any side, whether Ghana or Nigeria. But I think that besides what have transpired in the past, we need to put away what has happened, learn from the mistakes, and move forward and forge on to a better future. The earlier we do this, the better for the film industry across board. Nigeria, yes, they can one way or the other try and survive on their own, but they can't do it without the entirety of Africa. We need to put away our differences because we are one people. Those borders that divide us is not enough to separate us because we are one people. We reckon that. So we need to learn to integrate that unity into our film industry so that we can build a very formidable one for the world to enjoy. Because if our film market is thriving as a continent, as a whole, the West would even partake of it. And it will benefit everybody regardless. And that is what I'm hoping we are able to do with that. But regardless, I mean, aside all this, I'll still like encourage you to go and watch Jim Iyke's film called Sin. You should watch the trailer. It's amazing. It is amazing. Honestly, let me just reserve my comments for the you know trailer reaction that I'll do so that I don't spill out what I want to say about the trailer. But the trailer is amazing. So let me just end the year before I spill out what. But I'm excited about his film. I must say I'm excited about his film, and honestly, I'm going to watch it because these are films that we need to also push so hard for it to receive the necessary recognition worldwide. Not just the continent. We need to make sure that this film travels worldwide, and not just his films, but all other films coming from filmmakers all over the continent. We need to support it as best as we can to make that happen. So I'm excited about this. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on what he said concerning um, the collaborations that has fizzled out and is currently affecting the the industry as we have it now. So let me leave your thoughts and your thoughts and ideas in the comment section, and it will be very much appreciated. So this brings me to the end of the stories for this episode, but I'm not done yet because we are today is Friday, and I'm sure you'll be going to the cinemas to watch a film or two. So let me bring to you movies that are showing in the cinemas today, starting with Silverbird Cinema in the Accra Mall, Ghana. The movies that are premiering today, August 1st of August 1, say we have The Bad Guys, we have Stan of Sadar 2, which is a Hindi movie and a comedy as well, and Dadak 2, and also a Hindi movie, a drama, and The Naked Gun, which is a spoof comedy from Hollywood as well, is also showing today. Pim's Paradise also opening today, and it's yeah opening today in the cinemas, and the Fantastic Four Fest. So yeah, prior to before the Fantastic Four Fest steps, all these films are opening today in the cinema. I'm sure they'll be updating it with the times very soon. All these five movies are showing today in the cinema, and as well, movies from last week are also in the cinema still showing from the Fantastic Four First Steps, which opened last week, is still in the cinemas and doing so well. And you have other movies from other weeks prior also showing as well, from the Smurfs and I Know What You Did Last Summer and so many others. So you have a whole, a whole list of films that you can choose from to watch as well. So do so. You can do so at your own time and choosing. So let's move on from the silver bed to see what we have worldwide, wherever you may find yourself. So we go to the Rotten Tomato website, and there, the films that are showing today or opening today worldwide, we have Broken, which is actually showing on the 2nd of August. Obviously, from the poster, it looks like it's going to be a thriller or a horror film. But you also have Naked Gun, The Bad Guys 2, She Rides Shotgun, Omniscient Reader, The Prophecy, River of Blood, Brazil, which is actually a re-release. It's not a new film, but a re-release. We also have Suleiman's Story, Trouble Man, which stars Michael White. I think that's the name, Michael Jai White, yeah, and Architecton, all opening today. So there's a lot of movies that are opening today that you can go and watch it, and there's so much more on the website. So I'll leave it in the comment section, in the description section below, so that you can go and take a look at it and choose which one you want to watch near you, wherever you are all over the world. If there is a cinema showing it, I'm sure you can find one of these films that you may enjoy. So this brings me to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And sorry, I apologize for the technical difficulties I was facing. I'll do my best to make sure I improve upon them so that I don't repeat them again. But thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you coming every week to watch my episode. And thank you so much for joining me for this episode as well. So I'll be coming your way again on Monday, but watch out for some trailer reactions that I'll be dropping as well. I'll be coming your way with these episodes on Monday, and as usual, bring you exciting stories that happened over the weekend. So thank you so much. And my name is Papa Otu, and this has been the Film Mandate. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.